Hi everyone, my name is Vladimir and today I have a bit of a world premiere for all of you tech fans and RGB enthusiasts. Patriot has just launched their first RGB SSD in a form of NVMe Gen 3 drive called the Viper VPR100. Viper VPR100 comes in a very familiar package that shares design with the rest of their NVMe SSD portfolio. Small box with a magnetic cover and a window beneath that instantly gives you the first look on this very peculiar SSD. Although this drive was just announced globally, I had an exclusive opportunity to use it and test its features for the last 10 days. Based on a well-known Phison E12 controller, Viper VPR100 comes in various memory capacities ranging from 256GB all the way to its flagship 2TB edition. Viper VPR100 is also equipped with this very interesting heatsink that's thoughtfully designed to keep the temperatures down and also incorporate its RGB lights as a feature that's almost unavoidable these days. So the main question here is what took them so long to introduce their own RGB solution into this segment? One of the most important things was obviously finding the right balance between beautiful RGB effects, speed degradation when using them, and thermals as well. This took some time to perfect, and today is the day to finally test it all out in a real use case scenario. For this test, I'm using my very own MSI X570 Gaming Edge motherboard with AMD Ryzen 3400G APU because this is a Gen 3 drive and doesn't require Zen 2 based CPU to achieve its full bandwidth and speeds. This also means that you can use this drive with any AMD Ryzen or Intel based systems without any issues. In Crystal Disk Mark, this 1TB drive go well above the stated read and write speeds, reaching almost 3500 MB per second in read scenarios and getting above 2500 MB per second in random 4K scenarios. ATTO Disk Benchmark showed a very consistent read and write speeds with this drive, not just in general, but also with its 128KB test that was very close to its top speeds. ANVILS storage utilities showed very compelling results, over 6000 points for read and well above 9000 points for write, making the total score reach 15,700 points. But the main test here is how this drive handles its performance when it's synced with a third-party RGB solution, in this case MSI's Mystic Light ARGB. For this, it has to communicate through its M.2 interface, so Patriot states that there will be some speed degradations when using RGB sync methods. That's why Patriot has its own RGB app that will allow you to set it up individually and not use any extra bandwidth to communicate with other components. So there is at least an alternative that will still allow all that fancy illumination. I tried using it as a main system drive and also as a storage solution, and here you can see the difference in speeds that MSI's RGB sync introduces in the everyday use. As you can see, there's virtually no difference in speeds here, but other solutions could introduce some speed bumps. Also, be careful where you install your drive. As you can see, the second M.2 slot on this motherboard shows a significant difference in speed, although it's rated to be fully compatible with NVMe Gen 3 standards. Temperatures are also really important here, so I paid very close attention to that segment. The drive was mostly idling at 30 degrees Celsius and reaching only 40 degrees max after very intensive use under full load. For an RGB SSD, this is more than perfect and shows how adequate is the heatsink solution that comes pre-installed. But when you switch on the Mystic Light RGB sync, temperatures go up by almost 30 degrees. It's still not terrible, but the difference is pretty huge and concerning. So, my main conclusion here would be that Patriot did a very fine job with this SSD. RGB effects are not overdone, they're pretty discreet and elegant, plus you can switch them off if you ever get tired of watching them. Thermals are probably the best I've seen so far on an RGB SSD of any kind, and the speeds also reach all those extreme figures that are common on regular NVMe Gen 3 SSDs. I would definitely avoid any kind of RGB sync solutions just because I personally don't think it's that important, and also not worth of any kind of potential thermal throttling or speed degradations.